But no, but going back to like Uber, like obviously there's been a lot of, there's again based on supply and demand, but they've caused a lot of havoc in the taxi industry as well, which has been quite interesting. And I think this goes back to what we were originally talking about is like keeping up with the change, and 20 years ago, yeah, taxis were the best thing. Not anymore. And in the next 20 years, we don't know what's going to be the best thing, but we can maybe see the trends of what could be.
I think I have an idea of what we might see.
What do you think?
This is going to be a bit strange, but well, if you think about it now, so it's like, okay, let's just go back to like time of the taxis and the cabs and stuff. The thing about those businesses is that those companies had to buy those vehicles, and so you have a lot of capital costs. So like back in the industrial age, or like not even that far, actually like back 150 years ago, like there was a lot of capital costs for business, for starting off a business. But thanks to the internet, you now have reduced a lot of that capital costs because you're able to leverage on code and also social media to get the word out there. So thanks to that, now it's like you have Uber, which is now more of, you can say like Web 2.0. We're using apps, we can add like reviews, and we have like these feedback loops and so on and so forth. Now we're sort of moving into like, they call it like Web 3.0. And Web 3.0 is more of like, you could say the integration of like blockchain. So blockchain is more of like introducing the idea of sort of decentralizing some components of the web, which means like it's giving the user more, you could say, control over their data, over and privacy, making content like more digestible in very different ways. And blockchain at the end of the day is just decentralizing, basically. It's storing data in a way that's more transparent, secure, and decentralized. And that introduces the idea of cryptocurrencies, right? And I'm not talking about like just the coins that you invest in, those things. I'm talking about like the idea of having digital currencies. And so what I think is going to happen with Web 3.0, which we're still trying to transition into with also machine learning and Internet of Things, is we're going to see different types of economies we've never thought of. And I was talking about this with my friend today in the morning, which is like the idea of, it sounds weird, but robots, AI, or like even the car itself has an economy. Because like say we have automotive self-driving vehicles, right? That, it sounds weird, but I'm just going to say it. That car has a job where it's like almost like a rental property, like almost like property, right? You get rental income. This car has this job where it actually just drops and picks up people, but it's automated. There's no driver in there. So it's just doing jobs, for dropping people, and then they pay. And then it has its own like income, which you can use to upgrade itself. And maybe you get a cut off that or something. So it detects things of like, I don't know, the car, of how it can upgrade like its software, or it has to upgrade this part of the car. It knows it, detects it, and just like goes to there and upgrades and pays for itself
Automatically.
So it's like
a robot.
Almost, yeah. And you get the cut of whatever is excess. So it's almost like it's almost like you could think of like rental income that you'd get by someone living in like your rent, like in your property, except this is like your car, and the car itself has this job where it just does, it's all like automated.
Wow.
So it's like the idea of a car economy. Then you have the idea of a robot economy. Then you have the idea of like this, I don't know, data or something. Like there's going to be so many new and we are seeing right now, actually, I'm realizing the creator economy, where it's like people being able to create communities and we're seeing that a lot. Like all these social media, like Mr. Beast, all these guys, they have like communities. And they have like these paid subscription models or something like that. And this is happening more common. And I don't know if you've seen Alex Hormozy with like the school.com thing, which is like more of like a tool that they're using to help people be able to build communities very easily.
School of Excellence, is it?
No, it's just called SKOOL. It's just like,
right.
They're like a tool that allows people to easily build like just communities, and they have like you can have like pay subscription models and stuff, all that set up. Because in Discord, you can do that, and Telegram, but it requires a fair bit of like a setup as well. There isn't like convenient tools to easily set that up. So there's a lot of that happening. So that's the creator economy, and that's a projected. I think apparently, I have to correct me on this, but it's projected to hit eventually in like 5-10 years, like $1 trillion worth of like market capitalization of that type of economy, and it's gonna boom more. You have like so many influencers now. You didn't have this stuff 10 years ago, as many as now. You have micro influencers. That wasn't a thing. It was just celebrities. Now you have micro influencers, and you have different types of like. There's so much content creating, right? And so there's that's that economy. Then I said about the car economy. So that's what I think Web 3.0 is going to really look like. It's not going to be just like a hologram, which most people are thinking. I think that's a bit far later on, but it's going to be more of about different economies that are going to be created through the power of blockchain and digital currencies that we've never really thought of ever. And I think that's where it's going to head towards.
Are you Nostradamus that makes predictions?
I'm just
It's a good trend to analyze, and it's a good trend to look at and actually understand how that applies. That's actually really interesting. I actually like that idea you said about now we used to be celebrities, now we have influencers and micro influencers. Yeah,
Which never was a thing.
never was a thing. Yeah, and then the sponsors that promote these influencers as well, and how much. I mean, it's in the word. How much influence they actually have, and it's scary because people that don't have a lot of credibility are out there with the power to influence people. I love that word, influence. Influence used to be such a powerful word. I think back in I found it such a powerful word. Now it's just thrown around like, oh yeah, influence. Like it's just. Whoever thought the word influencer has to be, I don't know, you ruined the word. But no, you're right. And so like the car was just one concept of it, but there's different types of concepts that would apply. Wow.
Yeah, like robots, AI. There's going to be different ways of making money you would have ever thought of. And that's the same you could say from Web 1.0, which was just reading. Like you had just the internet where you just read content. You couldn't create. Then you had Web 2.0, which introduced the idea of you being able to make an income by creating content online. And now you have 3.0, where it's like you own certain types of vehicles or technology, which you can actually earn income, and you can get a cut off that.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, in a way, I think, gonna make things. People have like a very dark perspective of the future, but I think it's gonna make things a lot more affordable at the end of the day.
You think so?
As in. Accessible. Let's put it that way. More
Okay.
accessible, because like if you have more cars around and people not having to drive a human inside of a car drive, and it's like all automated, then people can use their time to do other things. So it saves them, and then if you can get a cut off that, it's like an income as well. So,
wow.
and in the car itself having its own intelligence to be able to understand, yeah, okay, I need to upgrade the wheels today. Let me spend this amount of money to upgrade it because I have that much left, etc., etc.
And that's not even far fetched.
It doesn't sound crazy
anymore. I don't think it does, not anymore. Like with the stuff we see with AI, like I think they're doing ChatGPT 4.0 now.
Yeah, well, that's already been released, I think.
No, I think 5.0.
Is it?
Right,
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Yes, 5.0, which is, I'm probably getting the stats wrong, but it's a lot more powerful than 4.0. Because I think it's like exponential per 0.1, I think. 1.0, it's like a lot. It's very much more machine-led advanced. So I don't know what the exact figure is. I've heard the figure. I don't want to say the figure because I might be completely butchering it, but that's within a span of 4 years, 5 years.
Well, probably there's a lot of other years which you don't even
That's
know.
true. That is true. That is true. Good point. When was AI actually first?
I think we spoke a little bit about it. It was from, the movie called The Imitation Game? I think his name was Alan
Turing?
Turing, yes, that's right. He introduced, that was like during World War II, right?
But he introduced the concept like
he
programming.
He introduced the concept, but he didn't I don't think it was programmed until much later, until we had computers that were accessible, which was like during 19...
But in a way, like Siri voice is a form of AI.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Because it's voice recognition and acts on it, which is... And that's existed for a while. Like, hey Siri, call this person.
Well, it's not I mean, back
It's
then
not AI. Like,
it was
sorry,
voice commands. So
that is
bot.
true.
It was like a bot. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like the concept of understanding, let's say, speech to text, and then acting on that text. You know, that sort of command. Like voice command was probably the first, and again, I could be wrong, but voice command was like maybe a step towards super like AI. But then it's interesting how they use ChatGPT because it's just grabbing all the data from the internet and putting it together, right?
Yeah.
At like super speed.
Yeah, basically, like I guess like they've perfected this model because like the biggest thing is like getting the model like accurate, and that would have taken like probably 5-10 years or something, a long time to be able to like you got to do the research, you got to also be able to test it and refine it consistently. Otherwise, you have situations where it might give you leaks about some code base about the bank, which actually probably happened, I think, initially. So they started being very careful.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like when people would ask for like, some people would ask for like vulnerabilities in existing companies, and then ChatGPT would give some like answers like that and leak some things. Apparently,
They would have had to shut that down quick.
so they had to shut that down immediately, and like they had all these policies. And the thing about legals is like it can't keep up with tech. It comes way after
I love that you
tech,
said that.
tech advances. So
I love that you said that because even
it's very
if yeah, you're right. Even with crypto, let's say, right, like the regulations and the stuff they're trying to get to it, but you can't really regulate that. You know, you can't. Like, you can put regulations on the users in a way, but you can't regulate the whole concept
well, the way that they're trying to do it actually is through like banks and through like the exchanges.
Yep.
That's how they're trying to regulate it. And I mean, with banks, that's what they're really trying to do. They have like all these policies of how much you can withdraw, deposit, and things like that. So that's how they're trying to control it from that angle. But you can't really control crypto itself. Like as we're speaking, right? There's probably 10,000 coins being created as we speak, because it's so you just click a button nowadays, and you can create a cryptocurrency so easily. So like, how do you control that? You really can't. Even if you shut that down, someone else is going to create another tool which is going to just be able to easily make coins again, and it's programmatic. Unless you get rid of the internet, then yeah, sure, you can control it, but you can't get rid of the internet. So you can't control it from that angle, but you can control it through like banks and through exchanges, and I think that's how they're approaching that angle of being able to control it.
But as a concept, you can't regulate it, right?
You can't really regulate it.
Yeah.
You really can't.
Yeah.
Unless you compromise the internet, which is like servers.
Because even
things.
if you issue shares, let's say on the exchange, like, you know, there's so many hurdles you've got to go through to actually get those shares out to the public, etc. But this just create, like you said, create 10,000 coins, put it out on the market.
How do you regulate that?
How do you regulate that?
If they did it from the beginning when crypto was created, it would have been a different story.
Yeah.
But because they're already so late.
I love that you said that though. Regulation cannot keep up with change.
It's true. It's always, I mean, look at like legal policies. They take so long to go through and refine and become matured and for people to accept it.
Yep.
And tech advances exponentially.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about like automotive, like as in self-driving cars. Like I don't really know what the legalities behind that is going to be, because there's also I don't know if you've seen, but like the new Rolls Royce, the design, no offense, looks pretty bad, but it's a prototype, so whatever. But it's like apparently now like the front seats will like rotate.
Okay.
And the car's gonna drive. But the thing is, it's a self-driving car. But I thought like the law was like that someone has to be behind the wheel
At all times.
at all times. Now if it rotates and now you're facing your friends, then how does that work?
Yeah.
Right? So it's just how does that work with legal? I don't know aspects, how that's gonna work. So
It's interesting because legal is like a product of the consequences of bad things that happen. If you think about it.
yeah.
Like bills that are passed or laws that are created, they're created because something went wrong in the process. So, it's before, and that's what it'd be good to speak to a legal scholar to actually understand if that's actually true, because I think it is. A lot of things we start, like the one punch law that we saw, that was introduced, that was because of, consequences of someone being king hit and unfortunately passing away. So, I mean, that's one example. But then, there are so many other examples we can. I can't name on the top of my head, but yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, with the way the world is going. But I think like that's the thing. Like at the end of the day, like learning from Uber is just like, the biggest thing about them is like they have to be able to balance supply and demand, especially, and just connecting like people, obviously, as we spoke, like the demand, people who need rides versus with the supply of people that are willing to drive them to a certain place. And it can be challenging as well, like as we spoke about, when you have a situation where there's excess amount of demand and there's a limited supply, then the cost of everything is going to be quite expensive.
Yeah,
then
and also like what the supply of and the supply of those drivers as well. The quality, you know, have they gone through the right measures to actually fit the demand? And I mean, 100% of my Uber interactions have been great, but I know people have had interactions that haven't been too good. So
that's why they have like that feedback loop as well. Like you got to provide a review or something like that, and that's
yes,
very crucial for like the rider, because that will dictate whether or not they're gonna get. I don't know how the business model, like I don't know how the model works for like the promotion hierarchy, but I presume that's part of it based on feedback from the customer.
yeah,
And obviously, some customers I would think can BS and just talk rubbish. So I'm pretty sure they have cameras inside of the Ubers, right? Something, I'm not sure. Pretty sure they have something like
I don't
that.
think so. Taxis they do. Uber not. At the start they didn't, as far as I know. I don't think it's illegal to record people inside your car though. I know some
You
Ubers
need
in the
permission, I
US.
think.
You do. You need
But
to make them aware they're being recorded or something.
yeah, I'm just thinking like, how do they then validate? Like if it's a if it's a real like a review, right?
That's why,
Yeah, not
as a
sure.
Uber's great, but there's these little gaps in between there. I think they've been fined as well for like a fair bit of things as well, and for them it's cheaper to pay that fine than to fix the issue.
That's the problem. Yeah.
That's what you see with a lot of these. Like, do you know that guy Chris Kohler?
No.
Kohler. It's like he's on TikTok. I think he's a news presenter on a specific channel. I don't know. He's Australian, but he makes like these videos about like just businesses and stuff and like skits. It's quite very engaging, interesting. Like he asks like from the Royal Commission, for example, like how many banks makes billions of dollars in profit. How much do they get fined? Oh yeah, 20 mil, 40 mil. Woolworths posting record profits only get fined $50 million. Qantas, same thing. Like you're not deterring the behavior. You're just making it better for them to just pay the fine and move on. I mean, if you're making $1 billion and you get fined 20 million for ripping off your customers, you do it again. Because what's the next fine? 100 mil? It's 10% of your profit. Yeah, whatever. Here you go. That's a problem.
Yeah, the consequences aren't as bad. Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Let me see if what fines Uber has paid. Uber fined $324 million by Dutch watchdog over driver data protection. Had violated European data protection laws when it sent sensitive information to the United States. There's also a big part. Why it exists so well and why it's so profitable. But yeah. But as a concept, I agree. Like it's, supply and demand.
Yeah, definitely. And like you also have the other issue of like if there's too many people that want to ride and versus like not enough drivers, then you have the cost of like wait times being very long. So you have to sort of balance that. And that's why they have like that dynamic pricing thing, where it's like if you're having to wait for such a long time, then they would probably reduce the price a little bit. So it's like it's more real time based. I don't know what exact metrics they use, but I'm guessing it's based on time, distance, and a lot of other factors.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, like the location of it, like the demographic of like the place. So that's how they sort of would, and obviously the demand of these services that people want. So that comes on back again to time and distance, which is like probably how that dynamic pricing works.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, I think what they And then there's obviously like the part of like the driver incentive and experience. So they provide like sign up bonuses, flexible hours, and like a pay that is guaranteed for the driver. And so so they provide features that will obviously help the driver and improve that experience as well. And then there's like real time like feedback loops of how to refine the system, which is like through customers and through like the driver and etc., which helps them reduce friction on both ends for the driver and the customer experience.
Do you know, have you seen that Black Mirror episode where they rate each other? And as your rating goes down, people see your public rating and
Social credit score,
something like that. Yeah. It's insane how much we judge people based on reviews and what other people think rather than your own interaction. Look, sometimes it's a good indicator. It is. I'm not saying it's not, but it can be so misrepresented as well because you're relying on what other people say and other people can be biased. There's so many different factors. But that social credit score episode blew my mind as to how much we actually judge people just based on a number. You know? And I'm not saying like Uber feedback loop, it's great, but drawing on and 99% of people are good, quite honest about things, right? But then you've got people that are not honest about things, and that one review could literally change. It changes. It could change everything. Like there's Uber drivers that have to fight for when they get a 0 star because someone just didn't like them. What do you do then? That's a 0 star. If you see a 0 star on someone, you're not going to get in the car. So yeah, like there's these great things that they've created, which is as a business model, brilliant. But the gaps in between, and you're not playing with money, you're playing with people's lives at this point as well. Safety. So no, it was just a good thought. I had in my head, like how quick we are to judge. I mean, like food as well, restaurants. Like we look at it now, anything below 4.5 stars, I'm like, do I really want to go there? True. Do I really want to go there and eat? But that's based on other people's experiences and let's be honest, people are psychopathic, people are sociopaths, people are dumb, people are narcissistic, people are stupid. So people, and those people exist in society. We forget that though. We're just like, oh, well, Natalie has said that this place was a 2-star because the crab was not cooked well and the food came out 30 minutes late. Well, Natalie could be a narcissist. Nat could be a narcissist. Nat could be a psychopath. So, are we going to really trust the word of Nat? Let's be honest. I'm not, just phrasing it that way. We're just very quick to jump to a conclusion based on screening people. And so if we think about Uber as well, like, if you think about it, you get on an app. It sounds crazy. Like I think if this was first introduced to the board or shareholders or whoever as like a concept, you would have gone, this is nuts, right? The concept is, hey, Wasif, go on the app. Go on an app called Uber. Yeah, download the app. Cool. Where do you want to go? Sydney Airport. Cool. Type in Sydney Airport. Wasif, there's a random driver by the name of Jason that has a Hyundai i30. Here are his number plate details, and he's Jason. And Jason has had reviews that says he's good. Now, Jason is going to take you to Sydney Airport. Without even you using Uber, without this being in market, without this being anywhere near, like think of it from that lens. It's not even in market, hasn't been tested, nothing. It's just a concept. A random guy with a random car comes and picks you up and is expected to take you to Sydney Airport for $50. Think about it. No, seriously, think about it.
Yeah, I mean,
is the guy certified? Oh well, he's got his full license. Has he been tested? Has he gone through a criminal background check? I think they do it now. I think they do. I don't know.
I think they would have to do something like that. Yeah.
I don't think they do though. Right. So it's like, no. Okay, cool. Yep. Do we have any background history of him? No. He's just going to be there at 10 o'clock. He'll take you to Sydney Airport. That's all you know.
That sounds terrifying.
It does, right?
Anything can
It
go
does.
wrong, yeah.
It does. So the way they've been able to turn that around, and see, here's the thing. I think Uber came out and said, we're all about safety, 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 safety. Uber's safe, safe, safe. People would actually be reluctant, right? What they've done is just create the thing and put it out there and just hope that it doesn't turn south. And he actually didn't turn south because people actually used it properly. So there was an element of risk there that they've just, again, like, people that, it's the ones that take the risk are the ones that, high risk, high reward, right? And this was something that could have gone south completely. Like, even if we don't think about the business now, what it is, like, this is something that could have gone wrong in so many, like, there's so many reasons it could go wrong. Let's be honest, right? Like, there are so many reasons there that would say this is not the right idea. But again, it goes back to the idea, the whole ecosystem, supply and demand, creating a platform that connects person X to person Y to meet an outcome or solution. So just a thought experiment, or not a thought experiment, it's something just to think about when we like thinking about how great, like, they made it really good, but so many different factors.
Yeah, that's a good way of like that's something good to bring up, because like I was presuming like they would have some sort of validation of like
I'm
the
sure they
drives,
do now.
but before they did,
I don't think they did before. Let me double check that. But yeah, keep going.
But yeah, that would have been quite dangerous if they didn't. I mean, that would have conflicted with like legal. Like, I would think like there would be like regulation, like, or some procedures where it would, that's quite unsafe for the person who's writing.
At the end of the day, again, like I said, if there's a problem, it's better to just ignore. Like, it's better to just pay a fine. So in the US, you to go through. So I'll take that back. So the minimum requirement in the US is meet the minimum age to drive in your state, in your city. An in-state license is required to have at least 1 year of licensed driving experience, 3 years if you're under 25, use an eligible 4-door vehicle. Then you need documents. Your documents, you need a valid US driver's license, proof of residency, proof of vehicle insurance, a driver profile photo. That provides a bit more. If you see the guy's face, like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, it is.
And then driver screening, they do. You can complete a screening online. It will review your driving record and criminal history. So it says you can complete. It doesn't say you must complete. I might be overthinking it, but that's like, I mean, I'm just like,
Yeah.
that's US, United States. So in Australia, it's actually the Australian website says, after starting the sign-up process, you'll be required to pass a background check. Processes for driver partner background checks vary by city. So we are quite, I think, straight to the point. In the US, they would be like, yeah, look, come out of jail, that's fine. Just don't kidnap the person. No, I'm joking.
But yeah, I think like that like that's. I mean, I was thinking they would have to. Otherwise, like, it would just create a lot of those issues that you're talking about. You would just, they'll be in the middle of all this crisis. But this is the thing, right? Like, when you have an idea, it's very important to look at it from the different angles, especially from like where things can go south, and otherwise it's gonna hit you like it's gonna hit you in a brick wall with all these legal cases. People gonna sue you and all these things. So it's very important, looking at it from like what could go wrong and how do we protect the customer from the worst case scenario. It's like, in a way, it's almost like inverting, like looking at, okay, what could go wrong? This is what the success is. And these are like the best case scenarios. What are the worst case scenarios that could literally like destroy our entire company or like this entire idea from just a legal suit, like sue us basically. So that's very important to put yourself in that frame.